stop thinking about how you're going to buy a single family house and start figuring out, okay, how can I find entries into these multi-million dollar properties as a normal person? And that's what I'm going to show you right here, right now. The end goal of all money making is investing. But the problem is most of these people making money don't even know what a good investment is. So I've spent the last 9 months trying to figure that out, and this is what I've learned. Now, a short version of it is basically when you talk to a lot of investors, they think that the edge is finding deals or properties that nobody else knows about. When in reality, the real edge is being able to structure deals that nobody else thought to structure or even knows how to structure. Now, I just did this on a $3 million acquisition in Tampa, Florida, that I will walk you through. This thing was on Zillow for 150 days, but we're buying it with none of our own money. It cash flows $5,000 to $6,000 a month. After all that's like passive cash flow in our pockets. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how this structure works with none of your own money. Now, generally, as far as real estate goes, there's two categories you can look in when it comes to investing and buying properties. There's residential, which is like your house is in a neighborhood, and then there's commercial, which is like multiple units, apartment complexes, office buildings, strip malls, storage facilities, RV parks, mobile home parks, big multi-million dollar warehouses and business locations. That's commercial. Now, what I'm here to tell you is that residential, from what I can tell, seems to be the most painful and slow process and way of building long-term sustainable financial freedom, cash flow, investment portfolio. And what I mean by that is because if you think about it, if you buy one house, well, first of all, the low barrier to entry, it's saturated. Like everyone wants to buy a house, everyone wants to flip a house, everyone wants to be a homeowner, everyone wants to buy that one property that's going to cash flow, right? If you put 20% down on a mortgage and then your mortgage is hopefully low enough that after taxes and insurance and expenses, you can cash flow $200 a month. And then you have to collect how many of those to be financially free? It's just, there's so much competition and it's so low leverage because even if you do find the one property that cash flows $300 a month for you, you have a single tenant. And if they move out for 1 month and you have to switch a new tenant, you just paid a mortgage, your cash flow, like it's painful. It seems like a very slow and tedious process to building a portfolio that actually puts you on the path to financial freedom. Now, with commercial, we can just start with a multi-unit complex. So even if it's just 4 units or 6 or even up to 40 or 50 or 100 unit properties, right? These are apartment complexes. You have one tenant move out. You still have 45 others paying you rent every single month. So you have one thing that breaks, you still have all this. So like the leverage is higher and also it's still competitive, but at least the people you're working with, like everyone at the commercial level is legit. And if you want to play at the commercial level, you have to be legit. You can't just like see a property on Zillow and be some Joe Schmo and I have some money saved up and I'm going to get a loan and a down. It's like you need to know what you're doing because we're talking about numbers that are 7, 8, 9, 10 digit numbers, bro. Like 1 million to 20, 30, 40, 50, $100 million acquisitions and more. Now, these properties, when you look at commercial, the value of a commercial property isn't based on comparables the same way that residential properties are. With your residential house, if your neighbor comes in, they renovate their house goes up in value. Now your house, if it's comparable, it goes up in value too. And it's based on the houses around your residential house. Those values affect your residential house value. Now commercial, those properties, what investors look at is not what the comparable strip center down the street sold for, even though it's kind of relevant, but not really. They look at how much money does it make and how much money can it make. So who are the tenants in there? What are they paying for rent? Can we increase those rents? With an apartment complex, if I renovate some units, can I raise the rents? And you can force appreciation in a commercial property. The same way with the residential one, say you came in and renovated it and now it's worth more. You force appreciation, but in a commercial property, that appreciation is going to be significantly more. You can leverage that appreciation, that value add, whatever the value add is, right? And maybe it's raising rents, maybe it's putting better tenants in, maybe it's an expansion, adding onto the property, and then you can place another tenant, and that the value of the property is going to go up proportionate to how much money it makes as opposed to what the neighbor next door sold their commercial property for. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because if your goal is to become financially free, stop thinking about how you're going to buy a single family house and start figuring out, okay, how can I find entries into these multi-million dollar properties as a normal person? And that's what I'm going to show you right here, right now. So, where are these deals? Where do I find these deals? How do we structure them? The first thing is you're looking for deals where seller financing can at least be a portion of the acquisition. It doesn't have to be 100% of the purchase price, but seller financing needs to be a component of it. And the two places you're going to find these deals are either there's on market and off market. So you can go over to a property that's not listed for sale, find the owner and ask if they want to sell, or you can go on the market, which for residential real estate, that's Zillow, that like everyone has access to. For commercial real estate, it's called Crexi, the commercial real estate exchange. It's like Zillow, but for the big boys. And the reason I do most of my acquisitions on market, because this person already said they want to sell. Like we're, instead of starting up here at like, oh, all the property owners are finding out if they're motivated to sell, oh, will they sell or finance? And can we work out some sort of creative capital stack to where I can acquire this property by leveraging my structure, right? By structuring it intelligently and bringing in the right people. At least for me, I like to skip the, hey, are you motivated to sell part and go straight to, okay, they want to sell. Are they open to figuring out some sort of structure that works for both of us? Now, you got to ask yourself, why would a seller finance? A lot of people are like, oh, like, why would the seller carry paper, right? Or like, basically what that means is instead of me going to the bank, getting a loan, paying the seller their full purchase price, I'm going to the seller and I'm giving them a down payment and then making my payments. Instead of making payments to a bank, I'm making my payments to the seller. And there are a lot of different ways we can structure that, a lot of different levers we can pull. I will make another video on how different seller financing levers we can pull to put the deal together. But the seller does it because a lot of sellers do it because they've been on the market a long time and they really want their price. So they got to give us our terms. And we have to say, look, we'll give you your price, but we need the down payment to be this much. We need the interest rate to be this much. We need the timeline to be this much. We need it to be, and those terms are negotiable. Otherwise, what I tell them, it's like, okay, well, if you want your terms, which is usually a cash deal, they want to be paid off in full, then you're going to get our price, is the give and take. Now, here's the real question though. How do you get paid for structuring these deals? Yes, you can buy them, but at the same time, if you structure a really good deal, people will pay you a lot of money for structuring that deal. And what you see here, what I wrote out right here, is the seller has the house they want to sell. The investor there are investors out there who will pay money to get a good deal. And if you structure a really good deal, you can either ask that investor, you can say, hey, you can have this deal I structured and you can pay me an assignment. So they will literally pay you money for structuring, negotiating, and sourcing that deal. Or what I'm starting to do is you can wedge yourself in as an equity partner and you can take a portion of ownership in the deal for none of your own money. You're not paying any money into it. The investor's buying the deal, but you are a part owner because the value you brought was sourcing and structuring that deal. Now, and sometimes you can do both. Sometimes you can make an assignment fee and you can take an equity position in the deal as well. But here's the thing. A lot of my investors that I'm structuring these deals for, they are not even using their own money to buy these deals because of the way I structure them. And if you want to know how that structure works, check it out right here. The way that it works is we are using some sort of creative capital stack where we are layering financing. And the reason we layer financing is for the seller, we can offer them more money overall. We can offer them a higher purchase price, a stronger down payment, stronger seller financing terms that if the seller was the only layer of debt in the deal, we wouldn't be able to offer terms this strong. But when we start stacking financing, seller financing, DSCR financing, private money, hard money, there are people out there where their job is to give you money. Like their job is to lend you money on deals that you structure well. And a bank, just a normal bank is an example, but there are a lot of other people who run businesses private money, hard money, like I mentioned. People run these businesses of giving money to you to buy investments and buy stuff. So where I'm going with this is you can even buy these yourself if you know the right people who can give you the right amount and type of money, and you structure the deal with the seller in a way where you can layer these financings, where you can layer these different levels of financing in order to get into a deal with none of your own money. Or you can still structure that, take it to an investor, and they will pay you for getting them into a deal with none of their own money. Now, I know it sounds crazy. You might think like, oh, why would a seller like do something like that? It's because the seller, it's mutually beneficial. The seller gets more money overall. We get into an acquisition or an investment with favorable terms. And the only thing separating you from the people who are doing this right now is your inability to structure deals like this and structure them well. So if you want to know how to structure deals like this, and if you want to know how I'm doing, like literally figuring this out live, right? I moved my family across the country to start from scratch, and this is what we're doing. And we're going all in on finding, negotiating, structuring acquisitions of properties and businesses. If you want to see how it plays out, hit subscribe, and I will show you in the next one. Peace.